Blog Talk Radio.
What's going on, everybody? This is B3 Sports Talk Radio. I'm the host, Lee, a.k.a. the Hoops Guru. As always, I got MKA, Mr. Know-It-All, my boy Ed with you. You know, we got a good show, had a little break, but we're going to ramp it up for you guys during the next few weeks, give you all the latest and greatest news in sports. MKA, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, dog. You know, going ahead and just ready to go get this show in, see how we do.
All right, yeah, man. You know, there's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of exciting things happening in the world of sports, so might as well get into it. But before I get too heavy, I do got to get a shout-out to Frank Thomas, Tom Glavine, and my boy Maddox for making the Baseball Hall of Fame. You know, it's always, you know, great to see guys fulfill their dreams. I don't even know if it's on their radar when you just, you know, when you're a kid and you want to play professional sports, that you know, after it's all said and done, that you're considered one of the all-time greats and you're actually going to be enshrined into the Hall of Fame. So hats off to all them guys. Especially, I got to give it out to the Maddox and Glavine. Those guys were very, very solid during their days with the Atlanta Braves. They do get one championship, but they kind of remind me of Buffalo Bills. They were always in the mix. They were always kind of close, but at least they did get one, so that's pretty cool, man. Don't you agree?
Well, I mean, I know everybody was talking about that and them getting in, but I know for me, I know I wouldn't use the Buffalo Bills analogy. I would use more of the Peyton Manning because, you know, for two dudes, along with Smokes, who dominated so well, for him to only have one chip out of all those National League titles that they, or whatever division they're in that they got, is really not really a good look. But individually, they got over 300 wins, which you're probably not going to see in today's pictures anymore. So, I mean, they both get in on that account. But there really weren't, their success in championships really didn't equal what their stats say or how great they were. So.
You know, and I think between the two of them dudes, you know, they had 6 Cy Young awards, man. That's dominant, man. You got to tip your hat to them dudes. But
I mean, I give it to them, you know. But you know, the thing is that it's still some, I don't know. The whole thing is like they need to figure out what they want to do with this Hall of Fame thing. I mean, is the Hall of Fame going to be about a whole bunch of choir boys, or is it going to be something that's going to show the history of baseball? Because how can you have the history of baseball and don't have Roger Clemens and Barry Bonds, Socha, and them in the building? Because it's crazy. It's just like Pete Rose. Pete Rose isn't in there as an individual player, but his accomplishments are in there. So it's like, I don't know. It's just crazy to me.
I mean, you know, baseball has this little snobby attitude, how they always want to act like the game is never, you know, the game's never changed through the test of time. So you can compare Babe Ruth stats to Barry Bonds stats to whoever stats, and they should be comparable because the game's always been the same. But, you know, there's always going to be, you know, little caveats and asterisks involved in that because, shoot, Babe Ruth didn't play with black people. So should he have an asterisk next to his name during his time? And
that's how they prefer to be now.
But to me, the way they can alleviate the problem is very simple. If you did not fail a drug test issued by Major League Baseball and your stats are the bomb, you get in the Hall of Fame. Period. I don't care about investigations or any of that stuff. Drug test. Failed, yes or no. Boom. Because it's that simple to me. And if, they could have, players were doing all types of, that's what players do to cheat. Get more sophisticated in your testing. Otherwise, I don't want to hear it. To me,
I feel you on that, but I just, the thing is, a lot of these cats is not getting voted in due to suspicion, and some of it rightly so. But like you said, if they didn't test for it and they turned a blind eye to it, yes, we understand steroids are illegal in the country, but if it wasn't illegal in the game and they got away with it, and you turned a blind eye to it because you needed the popularity to come back because y'all went on strike and people wasn't paying you no mind, then yeah, they need to just go and eat that, put them in there, but. You know, the moralistic sports writers and the players, they're hating and they're talking about we don't want those guys in there. I'm like, okay, man, these guys made a lot of money for the game, a lot of popularity. So for you guys to go ahead now and be like, okay, you guys sneak down, it don't make no sense.
You know, I love the unathletic slobs that always talk about what they would have done in a pro athlete situation, like they know anything about the work ethic, dedication, and pressure it is to be a top flight athlete. I know, I'm saying as a person who has not been there, I know I have no idea what those guys deal with. So for me, that's to brush it off so easy and haphazardly is ridiculous. So like I said, them dudes didn't fail any drug tests or anything, man. You don't have any solid evidence outside of some investigations with some corrupt guys. Anyway, I don't want to hear it. Put them guys. Their stats are good. Put them in. But let's move on, man. Baseball is not our heavy suit anyway. That's what the people are here for. And if anybody does want to bring up a topic, you can always give us a call at 347-945-6921. But Monday, the last BCS championship game finished. It wound up being a good one after all. The Florida State Seminoles were victorious against the Auburn Tigers. They were the first team to win the championship outside the SEC in 8 years, so that's good. I'm sure, it's been a little minute, but, hey, Ed, just give me your overview of the whole game.
The short view is Auburn blew it. The long view is the fact that Auburn defense went ahead, kept the FSU team off balance for the whole first half. Winston looked the worst he's looked all year, except for that last drive before they ended the half. That was really big. That was like a Heisman moment, in my opinion, where he showed some heart. And the way what Auburn was doing was they were pressing the wide receivers, which no one had done against Florida State, and they were basically keeping it close with the man-to-man coverage, which makes it harder throws, and they were basically dropping 7 or 8 people. So it was good to see Winston come up out of his prototypical self and actually remember he was a brother and use his athleticism when he needed to help get the team back in the game and help the team get back on a roll. And then the second half, they went ahead and they took over some things, and Auburn got tight, and that's how the game turned out. So, it pretty much, in my opinion, showed that Auburn was the best team that FSU played all year. But they was able to go ahead and still pull it out in the end. So we'll see how they do next year.
Hey, and I really, I like that in sports that, this was an unsung team. I don't even know if they were ranked at the beginning of the season, but
no, they weren't.
For them to hold it together the whole year, the freshman quarterbacks, win the Heisman. And what I hate about college football the most is that 3 or 4 week layover they have from their last game to the bowl game. That's just ridiculous. It's a tremendous momentum killer. But, for them to actually, weather the storm and be able to come back and win that game is phenomenal. And Jameis Winston I don't know the brother's name who did the kickoff return, but, hey, you owe that brother a car or something because he saved the day for Florida State. That was huge. That was really, really huge, man. But, after Florida State did win the championship, a little bit of shine was taken away from the public on Jameis Winston. People were talking about the interview he had after the game. I'm gonna play a little bit of that sound. Hopefully, it works right. And just want to have a little conversation with you about that. So let's check out this sound of Jameis Winston, his interview right after winning the national championship.
Thank you very much, Jameis. With 1:15 to go in this game. Final drive. What did you tell your teammates around you?
I said, guys, we didn't come here for no reason. I said, guys, this is ours, man. This is all the adversity we went through. The first few quarters, it was ours to take. And like I've been saying, we control our own destiny. And those men looked me in my eye and they said, we got this, Jameis. And I said, are you strong? They said, I'm strong if you strong. And I said, we strong men.
After struggling through the first half, what was the biggest adjustment you guys made at halftime?
We had to go back to playing Florida State football. We came out here, we were letting us be bigger than the game. We were bigger than the game. Then we had to say, hey, let's play Florida State football because can't nobody be bigger than this game. And we did that, and we came out victorious.
You had an embrace with your head coach, Jimbo Fisher. You've been through a lot with him this season. What did you guys share in that moment, Jameis?
We champions. We can say that we are champions together. And through everything that we went through all the haters, through every single thing, we came out victorious. And God did this. I'm so blessed. He's so blessed. Like, all the stuff that he handled with Ethan, and he come in here and coach us, that touched me. And it's nobody but God. It's nobody.
Ethan being the reference to Jimbo's son. You said it once, you said it 100 times this season. If we're going to do it big, we're going to do it big then. How big is this moment?
It's the biggest. Happy birthday. My cousin in Afghanistan watching this game, Teola Winston. We're doing it for everybody. We're doing it big all over the country, all over the world. And I'm proud. I'm proud to say I'm a Florida State Seminole.
Congratulations, Jake.
Thank you.
Brent?
Okay, what we just listened to was the Jameis Winston interview that's become viral, or whatever the term everyone wants to use, that he had right after the national championship. Ed, was that the first time you heard that?
That's the first time I heard it.
Okay. Well, what do you think?
Now, me personally, I don't see anything wrong with it because I can understand the fact he is a young man, he is excited, and anybody who's really paid attention to the, pregame or postgame other interviews, he's a young man. That's how, let's be honest with ourselves. Anyone who spends any amount of time around young people, they have their own lingo. They express things the way they express it. It may not be, the way an older person like you and I may express it, but, we was young bulls. We went ahead. We had our words, too, like, dope, fiending, and, all the words that we had. So I know there's going to be some people who's going to try to make some fuss over the fact that he was saying haters and we doing it big all over the world and things of that nature. But, look, these are things that he said. Hell, when he went ahead and got the Heisman Trophy, he was saying, yeah, I'm from Florida State. When we do it big. They've been pretty much their hashtag all year. So I know there's going to be some people that's going to forget that they were, like, young at one point in their whole life. They think they're some Benjamin Button-type cats. They came out in 99. They just happen to be the age they are now. But, this amateur athletics, he was caught up in emotion. It's not like he was doing a whole bunch of cussing and sounding extremely ignorant or doing what the professional people do with a whole bunch of ahs and ums, because I pretty much count those every time I hear those cats speak when they're at the podium. So me personally, I don't see anything wrong with it, but I know nitpickers, they can always find something.
Well, when I listen to the interview, I say, one, you're talking to a 19-year-old freshman who's just probably had the biggest moment in his life athletically. In a situation where emotionally he was dealing with an emotional roller coaster as far as they were losing, they were expected to win, and they won in a kind of a dramatic fashion. So immediately after that, his emotions running high. You throw a microphone in his face. And to turn off the vernacular and style that you're talking with your teammates in the huddle and on the sidelines and the things you're saying to keep each other revved up to win the game is totally different than, all right, they're putting a mic in front of my face and now I have to be PC. Totally different. And like I said, he's not a polished professional athlete. He's a 19-year-old freshman. So let's decipher through the actual way he articulated his thought, but exactly what was he trying to say. And what exactly he tried to say, there was nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. And, once he turns pro, he'll have an agent. They'll give him the crash course on what to say, how to say those things, and he'll grow and progress as a man, as we all do. So throwing the microscope on this country boy in this big spotlight to me is ridiculous and nitpicking. The funny thing is A.J. McLaren's mother, and A.J. McLaren's the quarterback for Alabama, she posted out a tweet talking about, am I listening to English? Of course, that became controversial, and she wound up deleting the tweet, apologizing, saying her and her family are far from racist and all this stuff. Regardless of that, hey, why is A.J. McLaren's mother commenting on this situation?
Well, look, I don't know if you notice it or not, but it's not so much the athletes. It's always someone in the athlete's family who's always putting them on blast. So, you can go from Marcus Vick talking about what he was going to do to Riley Cooper and all the nonsense he put Mike through. You can go to D. Rose and his family when they were saying that, the Bulls not protecting him and he wouldn't have to work so hard. He had better talent around him. So, a lot of these athletes, you can try to check your fam, but look, these cats got Twitter accounts and things like that too. If they post them, they post it. You can't be around them 24/7. So, This is all part of, having money and your family tripping. It always comes back to you.
And yeah, exactly. It seems like emotions run high with the family more than the actual athletes. But my thing is like this. A.J. McLaren, but your mom's probably a little jealous that, the Alabama boy won the national championship for Florida State, so he's probably getting a lot of love in your son's backyard, a lot more publicity, a lot more notoriety than your son. I mean, but your son's a top quarterback for one of the best teams in the nation. Relax. It's okay to let somebody else have some shine. As like they say, don't hate, congratulate. Just congratulate the dude and move on. If you don't have nothing nice to say, don't say nothing at all. You should know that, old lady. Well, I hope you learn from that mistake. But that was that with the college football. Let's move on to the NFL. There were 4 games last week. What'd you go, 3-1?
I believe no, I did not. No, I lost 2 games.
Okay, 2-2. Okay, you lost because you lost the Philadelphia game to the Saints.
Yeah, and then
okay.
I didn't think that and I was concerned, but I didn't. No, please. I picked the Colts. The game I lost was Dalton. I did not think he was going to be that horrible.
And he still had a chance to win.
That's why I told you that team is very good because they have been covering for his mistakes all year. He threw like 22 interceptions, and they were still, 11-5 or whatever they were. So yeah, but I mean, it was just horrible. It's just horrible. Like they kept him in the game to make plays and do something for that team, and he just, I don't even want to say self-destructed. He just played horrible. That's all I can say.
And that was against the San Diego Chargers game, right?
Right.
Yeah, so San Diego, man, I know those dudes are ecstatic right now. They didn't have a good start at all, but here they are actually in the divisional playoff game, going into Denver, playing a team that they did beat earlier this season. They got to have a little bit of confidence going on with themselves, they can't.
Well, they should.
At least they're not, they're not going to feel overwhelmed or anything of that nature at all. I think Peyton Manning's really, really focused right now, and I don't think they're going to win. They should feel confident about themselves. But let's go back. Indianapolis is going to be playing New England, so we're going to have Brady versus Luck. I know they're going to blow this thing out of proportion. But for the Colts to get there, they made a miraculous comeback against the Kansas City Chiefs. Was it an explosion by the Colts or implosion by the Kansas City Chiefs?
I'm going to say a little bit of both. And the thing is, some people are going to say, well, they didn't have Jamal Charles. Okay, they didn't have Jamal Charles. I think, but still, don't get me wrong. He went out. I'm not saying he's not important, but he went out in the first series. When in the first series, he had a concussion. All right, at halftime, it was 38-10. You cannot lose that game. You can't. Right. But they did.
You don't have
That's
anybody
ridiculous.
to run you don't have anybody to run the ball.
No, they did. They had a rookie, Now Davis, and he went in and he filled in nicely, and he had a nice game. But my thing is, you're up 4 touchdowns. It doesn't matter who was not there the rest of the game. You're up 4 touchdowns. There is no way you're supposed to lose that game.
Yeah,
none.
You could have won the game by just getting a few more field goals in, or just slowing down the clock. But
that's what they didn't do. It's a combination of bad time management by Andy Reid, which people in Philadelphia are well aware of. That he does have that flaw, and just the team, just the defense, just giving up just huge plays at the wrong time. It was just ridiculous. The Colts had to have scored pretty much every possession they had the second half to get back in that game, because when you're down 28 points, and I believe Luck threw 2 interceptions, you don't have that big of a margin for error. And despite all that, they still had a chance to win. And then Alex Smith inexplicably went ahead and got called for intentional ground and throwing the ball to nobody because he saw he was going to go and get sacked. And then that put him out of field goal range. So it was just a series of unfortunate events.
Andrew Luck, though, I got to give him. I think the play of the game was when he caught the fumble and dove for the touchdown. Because if they get a stop there and kick a field goal, then Kansas City survives. But hey, it just seems like that when when you have a little adversity, it seems like things snowball, and you could just see the implosion happen. I'm watching games like these dudes are gonna do this. I don't believe this. These dudes are really about to have an epic fail, and they had an epic fail. I mean, as a player, man, that's gonna be a rough summer. Knowing that you lost in that fashion. But
yeah, that was the second largest comeback in playoff history, behind the Houston Oilers when they blew it against the backup quarterback Frank Wright against the Buffalo Bills.
Man, I thought I was going to have an opportunity to go on Facebook and talk a lot of trash and call you out, but San Francisco held on and won that game against Green Bay.
Look, man, I try to tell you, man, I wasn't worried about that game at all.
Hey, it was a good game, man. I had a chance for a while, but I tell you
what.
You're
going to have that when you're talking about the best quarterback in the league. Yeah, you're going to have a chance.
Kaepernick to Manningham. No, was it Kaepernick to Manningham? No, the Crabtree.
Crabtree.
Yeah, Kaepernick to Crabtree is a problem.
Yeah, you're going to see it again next week, too.
Against Killer Cam, huh? But I don't know. That's a better defense, man.
Yeah, it'll be a better defense all at once.
Yeah, that's a better defense right there. But yeah, it's just like, dang, you really, when you got Vernon Davis running out there and Crabtree, and what's homeboy's name?
Anquan Bolden.
Yeah, you got Bolden. It's like, damn, like I really can't double team anybody. It's like he's got a lot of toys, and the quarterback can run. They got a lot of options, man. Like they're putting it together. They've been to 2 Super Bowls in a row too, so they know how to gear it up this season. So it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be very, very interesting to see what happens next week.
Right.
And then I guess the other game we have to talk about, you could probably attest to this game better than I can. Exactly what happened is the Saints going into Philadelphia and getting the victory. Why were they successful? It seemed like Philly got off to a slow start.
Well, that's pretty much the thing for the game right there, because it was 7-6 at halftime, and Breeze did what I thought he was going to do. He went ahead and he gave them 2 interceptions, and when I looked at the game and I saw it was 7-6, and I was like, okay, they're winning by 1 point, they're up, but this is really not good because you're keeping the Saints in the game, and they gave you opportunities to put them away. When they didn't do that, then it just came to fruition. Second half, they started to wake up, and the Eagles did a good job against the passing game, because I know Graham only had 3 catches, the All-Pro tight end, but no one saw them putting 185 rushing on the Eagles. So they saw it was working, so they kept giving them that work, and then next thing you know, they got a victory, and they was going back to New Orleans. So basically, that's what it came down to. The Eagles didn't take advantage of the opportunities they had in the first half to put them away, and the Saints went ahead and saw that the running game was working. They stuck to it and escaped Philadelphia with the victory.
Yeah, man. So now your reward for winning that game is to go up in Seattle to the place where you got Blizz on. No, man, that's a beast. You know what? And let me switch gears a minute, because I wanted to talk about this in football, but I didn't. But it was on my mind. Trey Mason, the running back from Auburn, who had a great season this year, is declared, put his hat in the NFL draft. Right. How high do you see this guy being able to? How high do you see him going?
Honestly, I haven't really seen a lot of him from college or whatever. I know that he played. I mean, he has. If you look at his stats, he has nice stats. But then when you look at the games he played, he got I want to say he has 1,800-yard rushing, and I want to say he had 2 back-to-back 300-yard rushing games. So it's kind of deceiving a little bit to a point.
So is he a top-tier back, or are there any other backs that are going to be in higher demand? Because, he's got these games.
So he won't be a top tier back. That's why I understand why he's coming out, because he's hot right now. He's a name.
Right.
But when it comes to the actual combine numbers and things, you can tell from just looking at the game, he isn't the biggest back. He has good speed. I don't know about his hands and things about that nature. He'll get some looks as a scat back or change the pace back, but I think he'd have been much better served going back to school. But it is what it is. Maybe Maceo plug one, needs some loot or something, so he decided to come out.
Go ahead. Hey, I know my Giants. We need a receiver and we need some backs, man. So I got my eye on them a little bit, but and of course your boy Manziel, he's coming out as well. Is he going to go in the first round or is he going to drop?
Oh no, he's going to go in the first round. Don't get me wrong. Out of the quarterbacks, he should be the first quarterback taken, but due to politics and measurables, he's not. He'll probably be the second or third quarterback to go. But he'll still go first round, which is much better than the nonsense of these draft experts and people that be hating on him because he's not, 6'4". When he was being disrespectful and saying he was going to go in the third round and all this nonsense. So now I've got to hope that he don't go to a team too terrible like Jacksonville. So
the problem is when he takes some shoes off and he measures like 5'9" and 3/4. Dudes are gonna run for the hills like they ain't never see the tape. Hey, that's how they do, man. That's how they do. That's why teams cut dudes like Danny Woodhead, man. It's like I don't care how tall he is or we look. I see what the guy can do, man. He can play. Stop acting like stop not believing your eyes and worrying about how long dude's wingspans or how high he jumps or how tall he is. How does he use the tools he has, and what is his work ethic as well?
Yeah, but there are certain things you have to worry about. So I'm not going to say that some of the concerns of the experts or the haters have for him aren't legitimate. I'm just going to say that that we've seen examples of those same type of players being successful in the league if they're being used properly. And I think more of the systems and being used properly is a bigger issue than their measurables.
No, and I'm saying it's got to be a culmination, but to me, with the eye test needs, like if it's a pie chart, the eye test needs to be like 50% of that or 40%. It needs to be a major chunk of what you're doing when you're evaluating a player as opposed to, well, his vertical wasn't that, his run to lick was this, and, his 40 wasn't sub whatever. It's like people, kind of write guys off over numbers and things like that. And it's like, dude, what does the eye test say, though? Well, what do his coaches say? What do people say about his work ethic? How is he doing in the weight room? What are his leadership skills? All those things, to me, have to weigh in as well, especially how do what are your work habits and how do you get along with your fellow players in that locker room, man? Those are the biggest, man. If you're not putting in your work, if you're getting your Jamarcus Russell on, why do I care if you're like, looking like a Greek god or whatever the case may be? You look like the prototypical NFL quarterback, but, you're caught up in other things. Your focus isn't there. So, anyway, I'll be keeping my eye out for Maceo and Manziel, see how they go when the draft comes out. That'll be interesting. We'll have a lot to talk about then. But we're about to get into a little bit of overtime, so let's take a few minutes and for the NBA because there's a few things we haven't discussed since the last show. The biggest thing is Luol Deng got traded to Cleveland for Bynum, who of course looks like he's going to who's been cut since the trade. Chicago, I believe, saved like $20 million.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it's a good trade for Cleveland. The thing they were lacking in very severely was a small forward, and Luol Deng does fit the bill for that. Does he improve that team immediately?
I'm going to say it's to be determined because Mike Brown has never been known for being an offensive mind. He's always been concerned with the team playing good D. So I don't really know what that's going to, do with having Deng on the squad with Kyrie and them. So we'll have to see how it goes and plays out. Of course, Luol Deng is a upgrade in talent for the team, especially since, that bust of a number one pick that you still don't want to admit as the number one pick is totally worthless and not doing anything. So he definitely now is not going to get no run. But, I mean, you know, he's basically just a rental. I don't see him re-signing with Cleveland anyway. So, well, you know, it's not really something that was a big eye-opener because we knew the Bulls were trying to go ahead and move him since they didn't want to pay him the money that he thought he was worth, like he was one of the better small forwards in the league or something.
I mean, he is an all-star, and he's put in work for that team for a while, and he's kind of held the fort a little bit under those times when their franchise player hasn't been available. I think he was worth more than a 3-year, $30 million contract. I think that was kind of insulting. I think they could have came, at least 5 years, 55 or something respectable. That wasn't even respectable. So,
now you know we're talking about the Bulls, right?
Yeah, I know I'm talking about the Bulls.
Okay, remember these jokers didn't want to play cats that was winning them championships. So what you think they're gonna do with some cat like Boyd Dane? I mean, come on now. Let's be honest with ourselves now. I mean, the same owner's still owning that squad. I mean, come on.
Yeah, it's true, but it's like, dang, Lou Al, he hasn't been near as injury prone as D Rose, and he, like you said, the dude's a multi time all-star. It's not like he's chopped liver. So I'm just thinking, I'm surprised he wasn't considered more of a cornerstone than he was. To me, the guy you need to move is Boozer, because you have somebody in Todd Gibson that can slide in. You won't really lose a step with him, and then with that money you save with Boozer or players you acquire in the trade, you could bring in some better talent. I just don't think Dang was the problem, and I'm sure it's going to show a bigger hole with him gone now as opposed to keeping Boozer and Todd, who are basically the same players.
Nobody wants Boozer.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, somebody wants him, man.
Not for that money. Not for that money and years he got on his body. They don't.
Man, that contract shouldn't be that crazy now, though. He's played on that thing for a few years. There shouldn't be that much time left on it. Maybe another year.
They still don't want him.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know. Yeah, maybe not, because he's still there, and I know they're still considering using their amnesty clause against him. I mean, but Boozer is a productive power forward. He's better than a lot of guys out here.
Yeah, well, it's not a close moment. He is, yeah.
But let me get off the Bulls for a minute. Why does Joe Dumars still have a job, man? Detroit is on a 6-game losing.
Because he won championships as a player and also as a GM. And he's highly respected.
But, he's a terrible GM, man.
You're only saying that now because of the last, 10 years?
First of all, you should have been fired the minute you took Darko over Carmelo, Bosh, and Wade. You should have been fired, right? But then, all right, they let that ride. But then you sign Charlie Villanueva and Ben Gordon to these big contracts, and it doesn't sign up to nothing, and your team's trash. You still have a job. Now you brought in Josh Smith, who does not fit with your roster at all. Right now, these guys are 14 and 22, and on the outside looking in on the playoffs in the East. And you signed Brandon Jennings too. You traded for him at least. When you already have Chauncey Billups and Will Bynum, so you're overloaded at guard anyway.
Well, I can defend some of those moves, but go ahead.
But I'm just saying, it's like right now, as of today, they're on the outside looking in on the playoffs behind Brooklyn. That's no excuse, man. That's no excuse. You don't have any injuries or anything in Detroit. Why isn't that working?
You want to overlook not only you got new players, new philosophy, and also you got new coaching staff. So what stability do you expect them to grasp from to be successful? Like, it's going to take time, bro.
I understand that portion, but one thing I know, when you're putting a roster together, Josh Smith does not need to be playing the 3 in this league, especially with bigs like Monroe and Drummond there. Those three cannot play together, and it's showing. It's like if you're going to spend the money on Josh Smith, you need to move Monroe and get yourself a legitimate three like Luol Deng on your team, and then maybe something to happen. But with those three big guys clogging up the lane, getting in each other's way, and Josh Smith being regulated to shooting threes and long distance jumpers, it's a recipe to lose. And for him to think that was going to work was ridiculous to me. I mean, that was my big concern earlier. I said, yeah, they are big and athletic, but I just think it's too bulky, and
Brandon Jennings. The thing you were looking at, the thing that worked for him was that contract. That's what worked for him. He wasn't thinking X and O's. He was thinking doggone, Benjamins and Franklins.
Oh, you talking about Josh Smith?
Exactly.
Oh, no, I mean, I'm talking about Joe Dumars. I'm not talking about Josh Smith. I mean, Josh Smith is, first of all, anybody who signs with Detroit as a free agent is dumb in the first place. Right? So you got to be thinking about the money. The team's not good. The city is damn in bankruptcy. Why would you sign in Detroit if you had other options on the table? So he's not thinking straight in the first place. But Joe Dumars, on the other hand, who's responsible for putting together a productive team, a functioning roster, to me that was just not a smart move, man, at all.
Yeah, I got to give you that. But remember, it's the East. They still got to make the playoffs. So.
Yeah, it's true. But it's amazing. Brooklyn goes on a 4-game winning streak. Now they're the 8th seed, 1 game behind Charlotte. And for some reason, Chicago's still in the mix at 15 and 18 to the East. It's crazy. It's going to. I think a few teams are going to gel later on in the year, and there should be a little separation. Like Brooklyn starting to put it together, and it's no coincidence that AK-47's healthy now, and they're starting to play a little bit better. I think he's more of a glue guy that keeps that engine running and getting the guys to play at a higher level with more energy and efficiency.
Right.
For some odd reason, New York's looking a little bit better as well. I mean, they got a little bit ways to go, but they're only a game behind Brooklyn. So as horrible as these two New York teams look, they still got an outside in chance. I mean, there's a lot of basketball left. So,
exactly.
Yeah. And there's a lot of injuries going on in the NBA right now too. Eric Bledsoe looked like he's going to be out for a while.
I seen that today.
Steve Nash hasn't came back yet. Russell Westbrook is out. Chris Paul is out. I know.
Yeah, point guard's position is getting hit hard.
For guys like John Wall and Damian Lillard, I know they're happy, man. They got a good chance of making an all-star this year with all these injuries at point guard. But I'm going to ask you a question. Do you think, and Kyrie Irving's hurt too, but do you think the way point guards are playing, that they're playing more of a combo scoring type guard position as opposed to a traditional pass first, spreading around point guard, is a contributing factor to a lot of injuries we're seeing now?
Oh, yeah, no doubt. Because, before the point guard used to not go all the way into the lane and get hammered. They used to go ahead and, like you said, throw the ball down the post, be on the perimeter, and then go ahead and drive and kick and things of that nature. But now the point guards are required to basically break people down and do the same thing, but also get to the line and also make explosive plays, and jump on people's necks and go ahead and score points. So that is going ahead and the reason why you're having so many point guards who are now injured. I think you already said Chris Paul, Westbrook, and all the rest of the cats is just, going down like flies because now they're going down with them big jokers and they're getting them bowls and, they're not able to handle all that punishment. Now, some of them is not all of them. Like Westbrook would be fine if the boy Beverly didn't try to, get the ball and cheap shot him in the playoffs. D Rose injury wasn't because he was going to the hole. It's just his knee just went and gave out. So it's not all of them, but I'm going to say that does contribute to it, the fact you got more going to the hole. But, the classic point guards, the only person I want to say is like a classic point guard right now that's not an old head would be Rubio from Minnesota, and I want to say Rondo. And with Rubio, I mean, he's like the new Rondo. He can't score at all. I mean, I done seen this cat doggone make bricks out of open jumpers. It was like 12-footers. So he's like, really ridiculous. It's like they're playing 4-on-5 when you play against Minnesota.
I'm really surprised. He seemed like his jumper was better last year, and to me, Rubio hasn't even been mentioned or talked about. I don't even know if I've seen this dude in the highlight reel this year. Like, is he still making his slick passes? It's just kind of a down year for him, man.
Well, the thing is, he's not scoring no points, but, I mean, he's filling the stat sheet up. He'll get steals, he'll get rebounds, and he'll get assists, but when it comes to that point category, that's where he struggles.
And also too, man, I wanted to talk about this real quick. Denver, you know, there was a little blow up between Andre Miller and Brian Shaw, where, you know, Miller was suspended. They rescinded suspended, but he's away from the team right now. They're looking to trade him. And maybe, you know what, maybe this is why Brian Shaw got looked over for a long time as the head coach. Seems a little headstrong, power hungry, and doesn't know how to use his roster to its full advantage. Like, to give a veteran like Andre Miller a DNP and he's never had one in his career, is like, come on, man, you should know that. And as your primary backup, especially a veteran of his stature, to do that is you know, kind of classist on his behalf, and I think his response to the situation later was even worse. Do you know anything about that situation? If so, what do you think about how he handled it?
Well, you know, I want to say that B. Shaw deserves the right to go ahead and do what he wants. He is a coach. He's about winning the game, not about individual stats. And he has his own philosophy. And I guess he doesn't want to go ahead and play older players. And he didn't like the fact that the veteran players you mentioned went ahead and came at him the way he came at him. And he went ahead and do what coaches do to go ahead and let players know who the man is. He went ahead and sat him. So we don't know all the inner workings that went on with that situation, but I will say I was surprised. I haven't known for Miller to be a problem person, so that does reflect upon B. Shaw. So, but, I mean, I see that they're trying to trade him, and the two people I've heard was either the guy named Thornton from Sacramento or the latest mainstream hero, what's his name? Frederick, whatever his name. The guy they drafted in lottery pick for the Kings. I would really be surprised if they got Thornton, because Thornton is a really good shooter. But, you know, Miller will be going someplace, but it'll just be hard to move because he's such an older player.
I would like to see him go to a veteran team. Like, you know what? He would be beautiful in Indiana. He would be remarkable in Indiana. He would be, and actually, too, he'd be great in Oklahoma City behind Reggie Jackson. But for a veteran team like that, as a backup, a stabilizing force, he would be phenomenal for a top-tier team that's trying to make. You know what? Even Brooklyn. He'd be great for Brooklyn, especially with somebody like Darren Williams who's not consistent. He would be a real good floor general for a squad like that, and I think him and Jason Kidd would be relatable. But the thing I'm just saying is Brian Shaw's been around this league for a long, and he knows the pride and effort and things that players do to maintain streaks like this. And, you know what I mean, for him to bench the guy the whole time, and if so, maybe he should have consulted him before the game, which it looks more than likely he didn't. So he's got this dude stewing on the bench all the time. I'm like, damn, what the hell's going on, you know? What am I rocking the bench for? I think he didn't handle it in the right way, especially for a veteran player that stature. I mean, come on, man. You could have thrown this dude in for 2 minutes at the end of the first half. Streak's still alive. You know what I mean? There's minutes available. The only point guard you have is Ty Lawson and Nate Robinson. So there was definitely minutes. As a matter of fact, you know, Carl used to put him at the 2 with Ty Lawson in the game. So there's always minutes available. I just think he handled it real poorly. But you know what? We covered a lot. We're going to have to save some more for tomorrow, man. We'll have a quick show again tomorrow. We'll brush it up, get ready for the divisional playoff games in the NFL. for the weekend. We'll make our picks, talk about that, and, you know, you guys can email us or call with some questions, and we'll just get you guys covered everything that's going on in the world of sports. Got anything to add before we get out here?
Nah, brother. I'll see you tomorrow.
All right, it's a pleasure, man. Take care. Y'all be safe out there.